Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's Town Talk. I'm City Manager Scott Neal. This year we have planned a series of Town Talks around different operations of the city. Tonight's Town Talk will be about our municipal liquor operations. Talks later in the year will focus on operations of the police and fire departments. The City of Edina has operated a municipal off-sale liquor store since residents voted for such operations in 1948. 75 years later, there are 3 Edina liquor locations, and the enterprise offers online sales with local delivery. Municipal liquor operations result in a profit of nearly $1 million annually, offsetting the cost of many parks and recreation facilities and operations. Edina Liquor General Manager Josh Furbish will speak for about 30 minutes tonight. After his presentation, we will take questions. Those who would like to ask a question can call 866-571-0905 with conference pin 6909773. Press 1 on your telephone keypad when you are ready to ask a question during that part of the event. An operator will mute your line and place you in the queue until it is your turn to speak. We will end tonight's Town Talk when there are no more questions or at 8 o'clock, whichever comes first. However, you can continue to ask questions and make comments online tonight and for the next week at bettertogetheredina.org. The conversation closes on Thursday, March 30th. Now I would like to formally introduce you to Josh. Josh joined the city staff team in 2016. He came into the role of general manager with a background in multi-unit retail management in many industries, including home improvement, apparel, and wireless communications. He has experience managing national sales teams for technology and software companies. Please join me in welcoming Josh Furbish to tell us more about Edina Liquor. Josh. Welcome.
Thank you, Scott. Welcome, everyone. I'm Josh Furbish, the General Manager of Liquor Operations. Starting out tonight, we'll give you an overview of our municipal liquor operations, touching on our 3 retail locations and our e-commerce and delivery services. We'll move into a business review of my tenure as GM of operations, touch on 2022, including our estimated financials as we work to complete our annual financial review. And I'll share a little bit about what's to come in 2023 and what you folks can look out for. Once we get through that, we'll take as many questions as we can. As Scott mentioned, this year we'll celebrate 75 years in operations. What you're seeing now would eventually become the home of Edina Liquor on June 5th of 1948. I'm very grateful to be a part of this rich history and the contributions we make back to this community. As you may know, we have 3 retail locations located in the 50th and France District, the Southdale District, and the Grandview neighborhood. We also offer an e-commerce and delivery service. These services are online and app-based ordering, optimized for the iOS and Android devices, or by visiting edinaliquor.com. There are no fees or surcharges associated with our e-commerce and delivery services, and a low order minimum of just $35 allows us to bring our store to your door. We've averaged $13.3 million annually during my time with the organization, including 3 of the top 5 highest grossing years in Edina history. Each year, we transfer between $800,000 and $1 million back into the community to support city projects and our other recreational facilities. Examples of this include, back in 2021, where $250,000 in Edina Liquor profits supported our Edina Art Center. $300,000 went back to the Braemar Arena, and $100,000 to Centennial Lakes Park. Take a closer look at our locations. Edina Liquor 50th in France, located just outside of London-Byerly's in the 50th and France district. This location was the first home to Edina Liquor back in June of 1948. And at the time, we were on the north side of 50th, where the current Edina 5.0 sign hangs today. 50th in France is led by store manager Dave Foley. Dave and his team average $2.8 million annually in revenue and have seen back-to-back record years eclipsing the $3 million mark in both 2021 and 2022. Edina Liquor Southdale, just east of the Southdale Mall, across York Avenue, and next to Cub Foods. The Southdale location was the second Edina Liquor location established, with the original store actually being inside the Southdale Mall in a couple of different suites before moving across the street to gain better visibility in 1956. Our Southdale store manager is Shalon Patel. Shalon and his team average $5.3 million annually in revenue for their retail operations and also conduct our delivery operations, which has generated an additional $3.5 million since we launched in mid-2019. Edina Liquor Grandview. 5013 Vernon Avenue South has been the home to this location since we first opened its doors in 1964. Grandview store manager is Megan Lunneborg. Megan and her team average $5.25 million in annual revenue, consistently lead our enterprise in overall wine sales. And Grandview also set a location record in 2022 with $5.4 million in revenue generated. And it was the first time in history that our Grandview location led the Edina Liquor enterprise for sales. I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this slide discussing my tenure in role. And what you're looking at in blue indicates the revenue generated per year. In orange is our net profit before transfers. Now in 2016, my first day in role was the Monday before Christmas, which is probably the perfect time to absorb any intricacies across retail operations. That year, we finished with $12.93 million in revenue and $828,000 in profitability, which was a good first step coming out of a tough stretch in performance for Edina Liquor. In 2017, we kicked off the year utilizing the insights that were gained from the Liquor Store Task Force that was formed in early 2016. This was incredibly valuable information for me coming into this enterprise, as it acted as a GPS for where to focus our eyes and our attention as we built and grew the business. The bulk of the changes implemented in 2017 were operationally driven and largely behind the scenes. One of the major operational changes that we made was shifting from a purchasing model that saw multiple people at each location buying products independently across our main categories, beer, spirits, and wine. And we pivoted to a centralized purchasing philosophy where one buyer, working in partnership with store leaders, sourced the products for each location. This allowed us to flex broader buying power in the market while still focusing on the unique aspects of each location and increasing overall efficiency in our inventory management. Large quantity orders and deal purchasing that met the needs of each location while controlling the overall inventory on hand allowed us to increase profitability significantly in 2017. And we finished that year with a slight increase in revenue from $12.93 million to $12.99 million, but we met our lofty goal of generating more than $1 million in profitability. In 2018, our focus shifted slightly from behind the scenes to more customer facing. We put a spotlight on product selection and began to grow some significant brands in our portfolio. Notably, in our independent and craft beer selections, with a priority focus on local Minnesota-made products and building those relationships with local producers. To do this, we didn't simply inflate our inventory, But instead, we identified sitting inventory that didn't yield the needed return, and we trimmed package selection of same or similar products to make room for those new additions. An example being something like Bud Light. We obviously didn't remove Bud Light from our coolers, but we scaled it back from 18 different package formats to 7. We replaced that space previously occupied with those local brewers' products and other independent craft brewers from around the country. This allowed us to capture a new audience with in-demand products that also lowered our overall cost of sitting inventory with faster-moving, limited-release packages and increased our beer category from $2.25 million in annual sales to $2.4 million in the year of 2018. This practice also began trickling into craft spirits, again with a focus on increasing the local partnerships and the things that were made in our backyard, and to a lesser degree, with smaller production wineries around the world. We wrapped up 2018 with, at the time, our third highest grossing year ever at $13.4 million, nearly $500,000 higher than 2017. We also had a net profit of $1.43 million, which is our second most profitable year on record ever. In 2019, this was a year where we made some significant investments in our enterprise overall, some operationally focused and some customer focused. Operationally, we partnered with our sustainability coordinator and overhauled our HVAC and refrigeration units across all 3 locations. This was to not only replace aging and end-of-life units that had exceeded their original expectations, but also to assist in meeting the sustainability initiatives across the city. This was a large upfront investment that paid off quite well, with a significant reduction in energy expenses across our enterprise, and led to all 3 of the Edina liquor stores becoming Energy Star certified buildings. In addition, we updated the look and the feel inside our store, replacing some old shelving, opening up our layouts, providing wider aisles and an easier shopping environment for customers to come in, and gave it a more modern look. We also invested in our team by partnering with a local wine educator with the goal of providing a higher quality customer experience for folks coming in to visit. The baseline wine education program that we used then has evolved slightly, but it is still in place today for onboarding new employees. The most exciting and definitely challenging investment came by way of expanding our service offerings and moving from traditional retail to the new world of e-commerce and delivery. And prior to launching in May of 2019, we explored quite a few different options before we determined the right course of action was for us to build out an internal delivery operation on our own. This allowed us to own the responsibility of that customer experience from end to end. This is a practice that we proudly maintain today. From order pulling and packing, scheduling the deliveries, routing the deliveries, and handling any issues that might come up in between that point of purchase and the products coming to your doors. In 2019, we finished with $13.1 million in revenue, with $70,000 coming from our e-commerce and delivery services, and $1.19 million in profitability. Then there was 2020. No, this quickly became a year that most of us would love to forget. It may have served as one of the most educational years for our operation because we learned some very valuable things. We learned a lot about our limitations, but we learned even more about our capabilities. On March 17th of 2020, St. Patrick's Day, we made the first of many difficult and challenging decisions, and we suspended our retail operations with the well-being of our customers and our staff at top of mind. The closure led us to pivot to 100% e-commerce and delivery services for nearly 2 full months. In the short months leading up to the store closures, we ramped from 10 to 12 deliveries on average a day to 45, 50, 75 to 100, and eventually peaked after the closure at a record that I'm not sure we'll ever break. And we processed 465 individual orders in a single day. This was hardly 100% shouldered by the liquor operation, as we would not have been able to make this happen without the assistance of nearly every other city department. Whether it was additional staffing provided by the other parks facilities, fleet management, our building department, PD helping us source vehicles to make sure that we could get those 465 orders out to you. Everyone in the city played a role in this significant operational change, quite literally overnight. Getting our core retail services back online also came with some challenges. Though we had made safety modifications and limited capacity in our retail stores, we still ran into a significant staffing challenge, as well as an extreme change in consumer buying habits that made our business less predictable. Some of our staff simply didn't return to work, and at a time that we relied more significantly on flexible part-time staffing, with individuals that worked 2 to 3 shifts a week, 10 to 15 hours a week. They filled holes in our operating schedule that allowed us to operate the way that we did. The absence of that flexibility required us to limit hours of operations, later opening times, earlier closing times initially. Though we were able to get back to a more consistent environment around August of that year. When the calendar turned on 2020, we saw our revenue dip to $12.1 million. We generated $2.2 million from our e-commerce and delivery services. And our net profitability was just over $650,000. Still facing staffing shortages, weekly supply chain issues, and increased costs for a lot of our key products, 2021 was just as challenging to navigate from the start. Our head count in our operation in 2019 was 63 employees across full-time and part-time positions. That was reduced to 42 by the end of the first quarter of 2021. In June, we implemented a new staffing model that allowed us to gain additional flexibility with scheduling by increasing hours worked for a core group of staff by creating the retail sales lead position. These positions became extended part-time versus our traditional flexible part-time positions, meaning rather than a lot of folks working 2, 3 shifts, 10 to 15 hours a week, we had a smaller core staff working between 30 and 39 hours a week. This assisted in combating an aggressive wage growth in the marketplace and allowed us to attract and retain a higher quality core workforce. We built a core team of 17 retail sales leads across all 3 locations. This shift in staffing allowed us to maintain a consistent operation across all 3 retail locations and our delivery services without sacrificing the quality of service we were providing to our customers coming in. On top of retooling our staffing model, we still had to solve for thinner margins, limited product selection and availability, and we began the process of identifying alternative products to bring into the market to alleviate some of the limitations on our core brands. We were very conscious of the market pricing during the early days of the pandemic, and that extended into 2021. We didn't want to pass along inconsistent costs onto our customers. Rather, we opted to provide consistent pricing and an experience at a time when most commodities were fluctuating in price daily. Our wine category saw the biggest impact, with prices changing at times of 20% week to week. This was a big driver in our final financial figures for the year. And though we came in with a record year for revenue generation at $14.3 million, our net profit finished just above $780,000. And coming off of a record year and a record fourth quarter in 2021 for revenue, 2022 started off very strong for our enterprise. We quickly felt ourselves getting back to our core. Our new staffing model continued to pay off with better coverage in store, a broader product knowledge, increased efficiencies in almost every aspect of our enterprise. And we got back to the things that really helped us grow the business back in 2018 and 2019, which again was largely driven by our core retail operation. In-store tastings, community events like the beverage garden at the beautiful Centennial Lakes Park Farmers Market. Our vendor support started coming back to a more normal level that we were used to, which again assisted in a more positive in-store customer experience. Our product availability became more stable, and we continued to source new, unique offerings in the market with a major expansion in our Old World wine selection, our craft spirits, and ready-to-drink cocktails. The end results of 2022 was a second consecutive record year for revenue, the highest grossing of all time, at $14.4 million, and a current estimated profitability between $1.1 and $1.2 million. We're still in the process of completing our annual financial review, and we look forward to providing the final profit figures in the coming months. So what's on tap in 2023? From our perspective, it's continuing to build on the strong performance of 2022 and staying in the mindset of focusing on our core practices. More events, more tastings, new content. Some of you may have seen the first few cocktail instructional videos recently. This is a monthly series we are calling Be Your Own Bartender, or BYOB for short. You can find these by following us on Facebook, Instagram, subscribing to our email list, or checking out edinaliquor.com. The monthly demonstrations are made by one of our in-house mixology experts, Matt Shelton, at the Edina Liquor Grandview location. So if online isn't your thing, please stop by Edina Liquor Grandview and ask for Matt. You can also expect to see us back at the Centennial Lakes Farmers Market, hosting the beverage garden inside the Hughes Pavilion Thursday evenings from June through September. In addition, look for more wine educational classes and wine dinners, also conducted at City Enterprises. And coming very soon, be on the lookout for Small Batch Knowledge, a craft spirits educational tasting series where you can learn about and taste some of these amazing products that we've been adding to our shelves. From small batch whiskeys, bourbons, mezcals, tequilas, these classes will offer special event pricing on select products and at times opportunities to purchase some of the more sought after and hard to find products in the market, such as Blanton's, Eagle Rare, and the Pappy lineup. We are extremely excited about the direction that we're moving in at Edina Liquor, and we would love to have an opportunity to share our experience with you as we go. So please, stop by one of our locations, download our app for on-demand delivery service, or check out one of our educational tastings coming very, very soon. That's what I have for you folks tonight, but I'll stick around and answer any questions.
Great, Josh. Thank you very much. That was great. All right. Josh will now stand for questions. If you have a question, call us at 866-571-0905 with conference PIN number 6909773. Press *1 on your telephone keypad when you are ready to ask a question. An operator will mute your line and put you into the queue until it's your time to speak. And we are ready for questions.
Unfortunately, I don't have anyone indicating a desire to speak right now. As you might recall, there is a slight delay in the broadcast, so I would recommend we wait a minute or so before wrapping up. My clock shows that it's 7:26, so I'll come back to you at 7:27 or when I have someone who indicates a desire to speak. So if you just want to hang out or tell us a little bit more about something going on at Edina Liquor, I think we'd be good.
Do you want to tell us more about what's going on at Edina Liquor?
I always like talking about Edina Liquor, right? We, as I've mentioned, continue to search out and source some of the new products that are coming in. We have a select group of our staff right now that is actually in the process of acquiring about 10 to 15 brand new SKUs that folks probably haven't seen in the market. So over the next month to 2 months, things like that, make sure that you're stopping by and checking out our regularly scheduled tastings, which typically occur Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays at all of our retail locations. Again, I can't say it enough, but subscribe to our email list, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, because that's typically the best way to stay in the know about the things that we have going on at Edina Liquor.
All right. Let me ask you a couple of questions while we wait to see if we'll get anybody in our queue. Municipal Liquor in the state of Minnesota, where there are a few very large operations and a lot of very small operations, not much in the middle. Where do we fall in that continuum of municipal liquor operations?
Yeah, typically from a revenue generation perspective, we are 2 or 3 consistently, and we've been there for our history.
Who are the big guys?
The big municipal operations, of course, are Lakeville. Outstanding operation down there, tip of the cap to Tana and everything that they do on the south side of the metro. Certainly Apple Valley, Eden Prairie, one of our bordering communities, also puts out just amazing performances every year. And, also Wayzata, for a smaller single location, they are always in that top 10 as well.
You grew up in northern Minnesota. We talk about that sometimes. Did you have a municipal liquor store in your city?
Absolutely.
What did they call it? What was its name?
So the Muni. The Muni is 100% what it was known for. Yes, I grew up in Lake of the Woods. So Baudette, there's also a municipal operation in Warroad. Where I grew up was actually kind of right in between those 2 cities, but I did attend Lake of the Woods High School, all that good stuff. So when I go home, 100% I'm stopping into the Muni typically.
All right. Jennifer.
We do have some callers, but again, no one is indicating a desire to speak. Callers, if you'd like to speak and ask Josh or Scott a question, please press *1 on your telephone keypad. That's the asterisk symbol, then the number 1. That indicates that you'd like to speak. If I don't see anyone pop their hand up in the next few seconds, I think it'll be safe for you to wrap.
Okay. Yeah? All right. Well, that's all we have for tonight. As a reminder, you can ask questions at Edina Liquor online at the bettertogether.org site for the next week. The online conversation closes Thursday, March 30th. Our next town talk will be held at 7 p.m. Monday, July 17th. Police Chief Todd Milburn will join us to talk about the police department operations. Please join us then. Thank you for joining us tonight, and have a good night. And thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Take care. Good night.